Ardbeg. I'm Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy Whiskey Marketing School. Today we're going to drink Ardbeg 10 because I went back and looked and realized we've never truly done a standalone Ardbeg 10 video, if you can believe it. We've compared it a lot. And I've drank it in like standalone, like, what do you call it, calendars, you know, the Christmas calendar. But Ardbeg 10, a gift from John Marino and Kemi Ovalet, who are guests and students and alum at Wizard Academy, and left a bottle as a gift when they were here last. Feel that smell, fill the room. It's for you, Mike. It'll get to you eventually. So this video is based on a question from B. Shannon OSU, which is a friend of mine and I are in disagreement about making whiskey. Granted, both of us have zero experience. How important is the quality of water when distilling whiskey? Not when drinking, when distilling whiskey. Do you want high quality filtered water or just decent city water be fine? Okay, the shortest answer to your question is yes, it absolutely matters, and no, city water is not fine for every part of the process. But there are multiple places in the process where water is used, and for some of them, city water is fine. When you're adding it to your glass, if you like your city water and you're used to the taste and it feels neutral to you, like if you can drink out of the tap and it doesn't taste like tap water to you, then it's neutral, then sure, add it to whiskey. You won't be able to tell the difference. I prefer to use filtered water or distilled water when I'm adding to whiskey, but you know, you do whatever. Every distillery needs a consistent, fresh source of water for all of their production process. Water has several main purposes in a distillery. I'm gonna hit all of them. First is what's called washing waters, and it's not really like an industry term. It just means the water you use to clean things. Right? So the water you use to rinse out your equipment, rinse out your pipes, rinse out your tanks. This could be city water. Now, yeah, there's some that are going to argue you're going to want to run some distillate through there and stuff too, but like, because city water has fluoride and maybe chlorine and things like this. But technically, you can often sort of run that through because it's going to get wiped out at other parts of the process. Then you have mashing water, which we talked about, or will talk about actually, or did talk about, I can't remember. Anyway, there's a video on mashing. And that's when hot water gets actually added to grain as a part of the whiskey making process pre-fermentation. And oh man, is water important. Very important. Because this is flavor component. pH values matter. The mineral content matters. This is actually why limestone well water works really, really great as a starting water for whiskey production. Now, you often want to change some other things about it, but limestone aquifer water, like in Kentucky and Scotland and Texas and most of Texas, it filters, it adds important minerals that are really, really helpful for yeast and fermentation. It also filters out iron, which is really helpful for whiskey production because you don't really want iron, which turns into ink in your whiskey, right? It's a thing. By the way, on a side note that I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, except for this one sentence, no, you can't taste peat in water. So all of the distilleries are people that are saying like, I know this is unpeated, but I still get that smoky impact because you can taste the peat in water. You can't taste peat in water. Does water taste like it went through a peat bed? Yeah, but it's just this mineral sort of earthy, not smoky, not peat smoke, right? It's like drinking well water from a limestone, and you can tell that it's well water, right? Peat, if you go, and I've done this because I'm a dork, go grab a peat brick. You can order them on Amazon. Bite into it. It's literally a brick of mud. It tastes like dirt. It doesn't taste like earth. It has no real flavor. It's got no smoke, right? And I've heard people say, I know they didn't smoke the grain, but you can taste a little bit of the peat smoke, peatiness in the water. It's like, well, maybe if you're using that in the way that I say I can taste limestone well water, sure. But it's not what people hear when they hear peat in the water. Now, then there's another process, which is cooling water. And cold water, often coming from rivers in the early days, is the water that circulates through the pipes and the systems to cool the distillate, the vapors, to cool the vapors of distilling spirits back into a liquid, right? Now that water doesn't typically come in contact with the spirit unless you're in a column still. If you're using a column still, then it kind of matters what water you're putting through there, right? If you are, but not always, because not all column stills work the same, and it's not a standard thing. In a pot still, it's just vapors traveling through and then hitting a cooling tank, and the cooling liquid doesn't have any one-to-one interaction with the spirit. So often in distilleries, you're not going to find just straight up cold water. You're going to find a glycol water mixture because it's more efficient, cools more quickly, and uses less volume. And so at that level, the water is kind of irrelevant. Also, remember you use water for the malting process, and that does matter because it's part of malting the grain. And again, you want a cleaner, less chemically treated water for that kind of thing. City water is not going to be great for that. But that's all before the barrel. Let's talk about Ardbeg first. Now, what is there to say about Ardbeg we haven't said before? Ardbeg is one of the cult-following granddaddies, original boys of Islay Smoky Scotch. As a matter of fact, on their website, they say this. I just had to, guys, sorry. Ardbeg, 10 years old, is revered around the world as the peatiest, smokiest, most complex single malt of them all. Really? Of them all, Ardbeg? Of them all? Now, I love Ardbeg, and, you know, I would hate to offend the Ardbeg cult in our community because I'll probably end up with a burning brick of peat in my bed throwing through a window. But I love Ardbeg. It's not the greatest whiskey of all time. It's a great freaking whiskey. The thing I love about Ardbeg versus Laphroaig is there's this weight to Ardbeg that's a different kind of smoky weight than Laphroaig. Laphroaig's smoke has weight and heft, but it's more like seaweed oil direction. Ardbeg, to me, has a earthy, meaty, smoky weight to it that's more of a dense, sweet weight and earth than it is pure seaweed. Now, do you get salt water? Yeah. Do you get a little seaweed note? Yeah. Do you get this sort of kelp? But it's a little more earthy, for lack of a better term, than like your Lagavulin and Laphroaigs. Oh, sweet. One of my favorite tasting notes ever given in the history of tasting notes I've talked to you about on a video was the one that my friend Gordon Atkinson gave, and it was about Ardbeg, and he said at a tasting, I want you to try Ardbeg, and I don't care if you like it. Like is too weak of a word for whiskey. Like is for cheeseburgers and milkshakes. Ardbeg doesn't give a shit whether you like it. Ardbeg wants you to experience it. And I love that. In that nose, kelp, earth, smoke, honey on seaweed, for lack of a better. Soft, vanilla smoke. It smells like being on Islay. If you've ever stood at any of these distilleries and smelled the peat kilns and smelled the wet earth as you walk down that, you know, miles long sidewalk that connects, you know, Lagavulin and Ardbeg and Laphroaig, it's just one of those, I smell this and I'm back in Scotland. On Islay, walking down the sidewalk with Emma. I love it so much. Their distillery experience was really fun. They have a really kick-ass restaurant, or they did, and they were a really cool people to hang out with at that distillery. Thank you, John and Kimmy. I appreciate this one. I love this. I've not added whiskey or water to Ardbeg tin in a while. Let's see what happens. Okay. Once the whiskey's finished aging, you have the final place that water shows up before it gets to you, and that's dilution water, which is the water that takes it from barrel proof to whatever the bottle proof is. Water may be the most important water of the entire process. And at that point, Shannon, OSU, Absolutely, water is vital, and you want the cleanest water you can get that's going to have the most neutral effect. We used UV treated filtered rainwater at Crowded Barrel, but everybody has their own preference. You can really screw this up with bad water. Now, there's one thing that most people don't talk about and most big distilleries don't do, and that is slow water proofing, which is as you bring your whiskey down to proof, you do it very, very slowly over time, and you let the water settle each time. And then when you're finished adding water and you get the proof you want, say it's 40, what is this, 40? Say it's 46, like Ardbeg. You hit 46, and then you let it settle in a tank as long as you can, month. Not everybody has that luxury. It can really screw up a production schedule, but my recommendation would be take as long as you can if you're producing whiskey to proof it down, and let it sit for as long as you can after you've proofed it down before you bottle it, and continually get it mixed so that everything's integrating before you bottle it. But, you know, everybody has their own way. A little more sweet, a little more pear all of a sudden showed up. Roasted pears and cream. It's very cool. All right. Cheers to you. I hope all that is informative and not at all boring. And I'm really glad you're here. Proof water, dilute water, the water of life. Whiskey's the water of life. Like, and if you want to hear more nerd things like this, then like and subscribe.